experimentation, development, failure, starting again. There are a whole host of new-to-the-world things in this microphone.
In this business, you have to try things out. And you have to push yourself to create new innovation. That means things are going to fail. Things are going to end up on the floor, and that's okay. But when it doesn't, and it starts to go, you have great things like KSM8.
Shure's microphone engineers all understand that they're part of a long lineage of great inventors.
Ben Bauer was an engineer. He invented the uniphase principle, and the uniphase principle led to the Unidyne microphone, Model 55, which was the world's first directional, single-element dynamic microphone.
It's you versus physics on a dynamic mic. There's no circuitry in there, there's no electronics, and you have to manipulate air to get the response in the level that you want.
The Unidyne 2 was introduced in 1951. Television had become important, and the original Unidyne was seen as too large to be on TV.
Unidyne 2 element allowed us to basically leverage the technology that we invented in the Unidyne element, but basically make it a lot smaller, and shrunk it down from the Model 55 to the Model 55S.
The breakthrough aspect of the Unidyne technology was it was the first single-element dynamic microphone that responded to sound only from the front.
Feedback is that howling and squealing that you always hear when the microphone gets too close to the loudspeaker.
The more directional a microphone is, the less feedback you can get.
Was really solving a big problem that existed when PA systems started to be used for larger crowds.
On the Unidyne microphone, we allow sound to strike not only the front of the diaphragm, but the back of the diaphragm, and allow sound from behind the microphone to strike the back of the diaphragm first. Right before it hits the back of the diaphragm, we actually delay it a little bit. We time align that delay where that sound from behind the mic strikes the front and the back of the diaphragm at the same time, and that diaphragm doesn't move. They cancel out. That's how we get rejection. So the Unidyne element design was so innovative that we patented it, and even today, every directional dynamic microphone in the world is based on that Unidyne patent.
Ernie Seeler was an engineer that started at Shure in 1954. Ben Bauer was his direct teacher. And Ernie's first major development for Shure was the Unidyne 3, which became the SM57 and the SM58.
I got an opportunity to work with Ernie when I first started in the company. In the times that I did hear Ernie talk about developments and future products, you just listened. You know, he had a sense of total respect when we would walk down the hallway.
A dynamic mic is a perfect accelerometer. It wants to capture vibrations. That's what it's designed to do. They require a pretty good shock mount to reduce those vibrations that get transmitted into the microphone. Ernie Seeler had the foresight to design that into the handle.
The timing was perfect.
The world, particularly at Woodstock, found that the Unidyne 3 microphones really worked for large sound reinforcement. You could turn them up loud, you could mic drums, you could mic guitars, you could mic voices, you could mic everything.
The Unidyne 3 element builds upon the Unidyne principle of allowing sound to strike the front and back of the diaphragm. Sound coming from behind the mic travels and hits the back of the diaphragm first, and then that sound goes through the microphone down into the handle where the pneumatic shock mount is. And the pneumatic shock mount finally allowed artists and performers to take the microphone off the stand and put it in your hand. A lot of people use SM58s. They know that they can put an SM58 up on the stage, and they know that they can make it sound great no matter who shows up behind it.
One of the experiences that I've had talking to a lot of engineers is that they won't do without having both of those products in their toolbox. They have to have them.
It's hard to think about improving on the Unidyne technology. But we've got some pretty smart people here at Shure, and they never stop thinking, never stop moving.
Where Ben Bauer started, then Ernie Seeler took over, and now Roger Grinnip.
Roger Grinnip loves math. He does math for fun.
The history is what brought me here. So it makes me very proud to at least be able to say that, oh, I've made a bit of a difference. This project started as an advanced development project, which basically means we don't even know if this is possible.
Roger went back through the lab notebooks to truly understand acoustically how the Unidyne 3 works and what makes it special.
These were papers written by Ernie Sealer, Ben Bauer, things that were in archives. We're talking, banker's boxes full of like very, very old, handwritten equations and things like that I had to go back through and review. And I mean, that was actually incredible to me.
He was able to strip down the Unidyne 3 element to its bare bones and then build that back up into the KSM8. Virtually all directional microphones have what's known as proximity effect. So when you get right on a microphone, it sounds kind of muddy and bassy. You get a couple inches off and it sounds really natural and balanced. And then you get too far off and it sounds really thin and you're fighting to get more low end out of the mic. Sound engineers intimately know this phenomenon. The challenge was, how do we get this second diaphragm in a dynamic mic to control that proximity effect, to give that engineer and that artist a big sweet spot.
An omnidirectional microphone does not exhibit proximity effect. So the idea here being the second diaphragm effectively makes the microphone behave omnidirectionally at low frequencies, but still have some directionality, but it's enough to tame that proximity effect.
In the KSM8 dual dyne, we had to reverse the flow of that dynamic mic. Sound coming from behind the microphone passes through the second diaphragm and partially blocks low frequencies from entering. And that's what controls the proximity effect. That sound then travels down the tube system and around the back diaphragm into the handle where the pneumatic shock mount is. That reversed airflow is what makes the KSM8 dual dyne special. It really makes the engineer's job easier.
There was a moment, probably a year into the advanced development project, when there was one that the first time we measured it, it was pretty clear to me that we were very, very close.
We took a prototype of this mic, which was glued together with tape and rubber bands. I heard warmth, I heard clarity in the low end that I'd never heard before. When I heard that for the first time, I knew we had to make this mic. I don't care what it took to do it, but we had to make it.
Shure's able to do this because we have the right people that are passionate about the right things.
There's no other company that could have achieved what we achieved with the KSM8.
This is a microphone that only Shure could make.